A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Well, apparently Donald Trump prepared for this debate with Kamala Harris by reading Twitter. That is so scary that a man that is only polling at a 2% deficit in an aggregate poll came to a debate armed with tweets. We should be afraid of this. Here we go. We're going to watch what were some of my favorite moments from the Trump-Kamala Harris debate last night. There was so many good moments. I laughed so hard at so many things, but there are some definite real good ones that I just thought, we got to go over this again today. We got to watch this one more time. If you guys got some that you guys love too, please make sure to put them in the chat, and we'll go find them in the transcript, and we will watch them. So this first one is actually just a Lincoln Project video. And look, this is what happened. Trump made it about 3 minutes. I'm sure he's heard that before. Trump made it about 3 minutes before he blew his load, okay? He made it about 3 minutes just sitting there and stewing, and the fuse was lit with these comments that Kamala Harris is about to make about Trump's rally size. And you can tell by Trump's face just looking at this gentleman right here. You can see that this man is already goddamn annoyed. You can tell that this man is holding it all back. Someone said to Donald Trump, "Sir, she's going to try and bait you, and you got to not fall for it, sir." And he was like, "I can do that. No problem. I'm the best at it." And that shit lasted about 3 to 3.5 minutes, just like all of his sexual encounters. So this is the beginning of the end for Trump. And this was not far into it. Oh, here we go. One more second.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
This is the best part. He nods. Right here, he nods at that. Like, he's like, yes, they do. Actually, she's not wrong about that. They do it quite often. Watch the nod. Dude, why are we lagging on the volume here?
Is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Dude, so that's my favorite
Streamline
part there.
the
But
way
let's
you
get
search
the
for crosses with
so
Z2 Data's
let's get the reaction though. Let's get the reaction from him, because that right there was the beginning of the end for Trump in this debate. That was just the beginning of this man's his fuse being lit,
point of how he
and it just being completely off the rails. From this point on, like, he does not. And one of the things I really like that she says at the very beginning, she goes, "This man," she says, "This man is going to say to you, no matter what the subject is, he's going to tell you something about immigration every single time." And it was so amazing how she called him on that, and he went back to it over and over and over again, regardless of the fact that she called him out for it. It was absolutely amazing.
Actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies.
So this is the first time he's asked about immigration, which is like his main talking point. And he can't help himself. He's like, I don't even want to talk about immigration. No. First, we're going to talk about my rallies. You know that there are people behind the scenes right now. They're just like, no! No! Like they know 100% what he's about to do.
Rallies early out of
Oh, my
exhaustion
God.
and boredom. And I
Thanks,
will tell
Gal.
you, the
What up,
one thing
Lady
you
Freedom?
will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams,
What up,
and
Mark?
your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you
Look, he's
first, and
so
I pledge to
mad.
you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. And
look
then
at her. I love
showing
that
them
she's
in a
like, "Thank
different
you
light."
so much.
So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing.
The biggest rallies, the best rallies. No one leaves my rallies. I love her facial expressions throughout this debate were some of the most gold expressions that I have ever seen. Somebody said to me today, actually, they said Barack Obama had the better looks. We're gonna have to go back and we have to compare Barack Obama, Mitt Romney versus Trump, Kamala, because somebody said Barack's were better, and I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Not for 1 second.
Nation, and it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and
Dude.
look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be a
Oh, here it
Aurora or
is. Okay.
Springfield. A lot of towns.
Hold on. This is where we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the next part of this, and I have this clip already queued. So we're going to get to that one in a second. Because I want to make my way through the clips as we go here. That's amazing, though. That right there, like, that was the beginning of the end for Donald Trump. Oh, crap. Now I'm like, where am I?
Has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we
Look
must
at
do
him.
to uphold
That
the
tight-lipped-
strength.
Hey, how many of you guys watched The Boys? How many of you guys watched The Boys? And how many of you guys know that Homelander is, like, taken from Donald Trump? And ask yourself this the next time you're watching The Boys and you see Homelander in those moments when he's really upset that somebody's saying something about him or they're giving credit to somebody else, like his kid, when they're giving credit to his kid, and he gets that smile on his face that's like, I am not happy right now. He does that shit. Like, I need to put a picture of Donald Trump smiling that smile right next to Homelander, because it is spot on. Spot on.
And the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So,
Yeah, this is
if you
this
take
is
a look
about-
at that period of time,
This is the
Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got
Which is not
involved
true.
with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan.
But, like, the fact that people think this guy is smart, the Taliban, they're the fighting force. Like, people don't need half this shit explained to them, dog. They're killing them with snipers. Lots of them. There was lots of them. There's another point in this debate where he talks about the war in Russia and starts telling people that millions of people are dying in the Ukraine and Russia right now. The millions of people, they won't tell you the real numbers. They won't tell you them. There's millions of people right now dying in Russia. It's so crazy.
And they don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved.
That look right there from her.
And
What?
Abdul is the head of the
This
Taliban.
part.
He is still the head of the Taliban.
All right, guys, help me out. Did he make that shit up? Did he just like reach for like the closest brown name he could find? Like, was he about to say Jamal and he was like, Abdul's better? They'll believe it if I say Abdul. None of my supporters are going to fact check this. They'll believe me. Abdul was the coolest guy. Oh. What up, Andrew?
And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems.
I said,
And
no
he
way.
said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to fix.
Oh my God. Donald Trump talks like he's in like a cell phone text message, like a messaging group with the fucking leader of the Taliban. Like he's like, and then I sent him 3 memes and he was like, why are you sending me these memes? And I was like, figure it out. If you look at the 3 memes together, it's a clue to what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Barack Hussein Obama.
Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason
the best agreement.
It was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than that, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment.
And like he lies so much that it's like exhausting, right? So if you actually look at the pullout of Afghanistan, first of all, 100%, he went through and negotiated with a terrorist organization. When Donald Trump was in office, there was 10,000 soldiers. He added 3,000 soldiers. So at 13,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. So all the people that are like, Donald Trump never started another war. No, but he participated in like 3 or 4. So yeah, there were wars going on and Donald Trump was in them. He increased the soldiers in Afghanistan by 3,000. So it took us to about 13,000. He then invited a terrorist group on today, the anniversary of 9/11, to sit down and have talks at Camp David. To sit down and have talks at Camp David with a terrorist group without the Afghanistan government involved at all. Where he decided that he would then trade off 5,000 Taliban soldiers. 400 of them were such bad criminals that the Afghani government, we weren't even capable of forcing them. Donald Trump pressured them. Mike Pompeo pressured them to release these prisoners. And the Afghani government was like, fine, I guess we have to, because we were threatened to withhold aid. Fine, I guess we have to, but we don't want to release these 400 because they're gnarly. They're bad people. And they're talking about they're worse than other terrorists. They're like, those 4,600 terrorists, bad. These 400, really, 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 really bad. And Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump are like, you have to do it. We've already told them. The deal's already signed. You weren't there. Sorry. Not sorry. So they end up releasing these 400 individuals that are like gnarly fucking terrorists, potentially part of ISIS-K. Then they slowly draw down the amount of troops to 2,500 troops, leaving us at a disadvantage, an incredible disadvantage to a terrorist group that Donald Trump, for some stupid-ass reason, thought would keep their word. They're terrorists, dog! They run planes into buildings! They blow themselves up in the middle of groups of people! You thought they were gonna keep to a contract? He's a moron. He's a moron. He then made the agreement that we would be out by the end of April 2021. This is obviously, at this point, he believes he's still going to be in office. He believes he's going to be the person that gets the troops out. Then there's a certain number of times, I think it's twice, where he made cutoff dates. I want to say one was September or December, and then the other one was January 20th of 2021, in which we would have the troops out of there. Both of those, he declined to pull the troops out by. Why? Why? Because he lost the election. He then put Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and all the U.S. soldiers that were still over there in danger. He left them with the worst possible, no plan, zero plan, worst possible scenario to get those troops out of there alive. And Joe Biden went through and asked people over and over again, including Mark Milley, whether or not he should continue and try to get them out by August, was what they were trying to do. And Donald Trump blames them, says they broke the agreement. This is how much of an idiot Donald Trump is. This is how unpatriotic Donald Trump is. He doesn't say a bunch of terrorists killed American soldiers, and that's horrific. No, what Donald Trump says is the terrorists were just sticking to their deal. They killed those American soldiers because we said we get, so that's our fault. That's our fault. And then he shows up at Arlington Cemetery for a photo op with people that are being used. Those people that died, and by the way, it wasn't just 13 American soldiers. There was like 67 Afghani civilians that died that day. There was like another, I can't remember how many people, but there's a bunch of other people that got injured as well. Like, it was not a good thing. And for a former president to take no accountability, no responsibility at all for a deal that he made, that he got to about 90% completion, and then he stalled on purpose so the next president would fail at it, is insane that anybody would ever want to vote for this guy. It's insane. Literal insanity. No, I 100% disagree, Andrew. 100. I know that we had to get out of Afghanistan. I understand that. But the way it was done without the Afghani government being involved was ridiculous. You do not negotiate with a terrorist group to leave a government that you have been defending for 20 years. We have propped up for 20 years. Now, you can complain that we were there for 20 years. I'll complain with you. I will agree with you 100% that we shouldn't have been over there for that long. But you can't be there for 20 years and then go, oh, pulling out. Oh, and by the way, you don't get to be a part of these negotiations. You can't do that. You can't do that. That makes the people that we make alliances with around the world go, oh, these people don't follow through. Well, they will if it's terrorist groups. If you deal with the terrorists, which, by the way, side note, okay? Side note, one of the funniest stories of the last couple of years was of the Taliban having to get desk jobs. You can't write this shit, right? Like, it's like a sitcom. And I think there should be a sitcom made about this. But there's an article. I can't remember what the name of the article is, but you should look it up. It's about the Taliban taking over Afghanistan and then having to get administrative jobs. And there's literally dudes that are like, I kind of want to go back to living in a cave and fighting for Allah. He's like, I got 6 reports due by Wednesday. My fucking boss is writing me. No shit. I'm not even making this part up. He was like, traffic is terrible. The dude was complaining about his kids being on social media apps. I was like, holy shit. There might actually be a God. No, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Andrew. I think me and you are probably somewhere in the middle on this. I agree with you that you don't 100% not talk to terrorist groups. It's the way that Trump went about it that I dislike. I'm not saying you can't ever sit down at the table with another group, because even when you look at terrorist groups, not all terrorist groups are really what we would consider terrorist groups, right? I mean, Taliban are bad fucking people. ISIS is bad fucking people. Religious zealotry and terrorizers, bad fucking people. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you've got to be able to have conversations across the table with your adversaries in positions, but you got to be in a position of power. Donald Trump did not have that conversation from a position of power. He did not include his allies. He did not do a good job of obviously passing the baton to the next president. I think my conflict with how Donald Trump handled this isn't so much with the speaking to the terrorists, but inviting them to Camp David is insane. Like, that, have that fucking meeting somewhere else. That's like, you're like, hey, you guys want to come on down to the 9/11 memorial? Are you Osama bin Laden's son? Would you like to, let's go to McDonald's. There's a sweet McDonald's right next to the 9/11 memorial, and then we'll head over there, we'll have some Big Macs, and then we'll talk about a peace deal on the fucking bodies of our American citizens that you guys murdered. Like, no, you can't have it at Camp David. There's just too much. Too much. It's insanity. This is amazing. Okay, so before we get into this, let's just take a look at this, because I saw this before the debate. MAGA launches most unbelievable conspiracy yet. And I was like, there's no way that there could be another MAGA conspiracy that blows my mind. My mind has been blown. There is no more blowing to happen. Like, I got nothing left. And there was more. And there was more. The MAGA right, including Republican vice presidential candidate J.V. Vance, are spreading a racist rumor that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio are capturing, cooking, and eating people's pet cats and ducks. Once again, if they were capturing ducks, I'd actually applaud that. Just throwing that out there. Right-wingers seem to have conflated a report from Canton, Ohio, of a woman who was arrested for allegedly killing and eating a cat. Crazy fucking video. You guys can watch that. It might even be on here. With complaints from residents in Springfield, more than 170 miles away from Canton. The woman is a U.S. citizen, and there's no indication that she is a Haitian immigrant. Meanwhile, police in Springfield say they have received no reports of pets being stolen and eaten. The newspaper says that the rumor began from a local Facebook group where a poster claimed that her neighbor's daughter's friend lost her pet cat and found it hanging from a tree branch at a Haitian neighbor's home to be carved and eaten. And I just have to point out, like, how many parallels that can be drawn between the United States of the 1920s and 50s, before the Civil Rights Act, and the things that were put on black people and on gay people, and like the claims of Satanism and all this other crazy shit. If you can't see the parallels that I am drawing between what is being said about these immigrants and the fear of the other that was happening back in those days and still to this day is happening, but obviously now it's against immigrants apparently this year, specifically Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This is insane. This isn't a joke. This isn't like a ha-ha, J.D. Vance fucked the couch. This is putting people in a place where some of these Haitian people that live in these places are like, this is actually what these people think about us. They think we steal their cats and eat them. That's not a good thing, and no one, specifically people in our government, should ever encourage that. That's insanity. And also, X is a weird place. It is just a weird place. It is. House Judiciary Committee Republican members, former Donald Trump advisor Stephen Miller, Representative Mike Collins, Elon Musk, commentator Charlie Kirk, conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec, influencer, that's his name, Ian Miles Chong, and many others have all picked up and spread the rumor, in some cases with bizarre AI-generated images of Donald Trump holding cats and ducks. We live in such a strange time. We live in such a strange time. Stephen Miller said, we've reached the point in Kamala's migrant invasion where the migrants are stealing and eating American pets. Jesus Christ. They're in a park grabbing up ducks by the neck and eating them, says Rep. Mike Collins. Charlie Kirk. Residents of Springfield, Ohio are reporting that Haitians are eating their family pets. Another gift of the Biden-Harris mass immigration replacement plan. Liberals will soon be lecturing Americans on why they need to be sensitive to Haitian culture and accept this as the new normal. Those idiots deserve to be condemned and mocked mercilessly. You know what idiot needs to be condemned and mocked mercilessly? Charlie fucking Kirk. That's who should be condemned and mocked mercilessly. And if Kamala Harris, or when Kamala Harris wins in 2024, we will never forget. We will, on 9/11, never forget. We will never forget the dumb shit that these people said. Because I guarantee you this, when Trump loses, every one of these dipshits is going to make for the hills figuratively, because they're not going to leave. They're just going to go, I never really supported Donald Trump. I never really believed all the crazy stuff he said. I just reported on it. I was just giving my opinion. But we're not going to forget, because all of this shit is on the internet, and it will be on the internet forever. So remember that, guys. Anyways, so now we're going to get to the clip of Donald Trump, who apparently Donald Trump prepared for this debate with Kamala Harris by reading Twitter. I think that they're like, Tulsi Gabbard was back there and she's like, hit her on the 1500, hit her on the not releasing people, hit her on the DNA evidence. And the whole time Trump was just on his phone, just like scrolling Twitter. And he's like, yep, prosecutor, got it. 1500, got it. DNA evidence, got it. Ooh, what's that? Ooh. Like, this dude came in prepped with Twitter comments. That's it. That is so scary that a man that is only polling at a 2% deficit in an aggregate poll came to a debate armed with tweets. We should be afraid of this. Oh my God. Anyways, this is him talking about it. Hope you guys are ready for this. Let's go back a little bit because I know my audio is going to mess up.
Allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating.
Hold on, one more time. Like, you have to replay each one of these moments because you have to look at Trump and focus on Trump saying it, and then you have to have a replay of it and watch Kamala Harris's face. Like, she can't believe this man is committing career suicide in front of everybody. She is just like, I never thought it would be this easy. No one told me he was going to just do this to himself. Jesus Christ. It is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. And I have watched this for 2 years. 2 years. 2 years I've been watching this man. And this is quite possibly the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed.
Like, you think right now she's like, no way he's going to say it. Do you think she's looking at him right now and just being like, do you think she's going, where is he going with this? Or do you think she knows where he's going with this? Like, she's been reading the Twitter post and she's like, no fucking way. No way he does this right now.
By it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes...
Like, why does he repeat things like that? Why does he say, it's a simple phrase, make America great again? He, like, just says the thoughts that come into his mind. He has no idea. Like, these people are like, he's so good when he's off the teleprompter. Kamala Harris sucks. Boy, she's going to get wrecked. Oh, you have no idea. She's not going to have notes. We're not going to let her stand on a box so everybody knows she's only 5'4". That's right. We owned her. She's only 5'4". Take that, Kamala Harris. You're not even black. It is a weird reality that you live in when they think this man is intelligent, well-spoken, and does a good job off-prompter. And then you go, what don't you like about Kamala Harris? They're like, she's short and she's black. And she can't talk well. It's fucking insane. Oh.
Trump's president, this country doesn't have
I
a
did not
chance
read on.
of success.
I did not.
Not only success, will end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Hey, California homeowner, did you know that
We're going to be Venezuela on steroids, boys.
PG&E is now the most expensive electricity provider?
Wait, wouldn't that be like a better Venezuela? Wouldn't Venezuela actually
I just
be
want
better
to
if it was
clarify
on
here. You bring up
steroids?
Springfield, Ohio, and ABC
Okay.
News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've seen
this-
people on television.
Let me just say here.
Oh,
People on
This is
television
a
say
clar-
my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good.
Yeah.
Donald Trump did not fact check any of this. Donald Trump didn't look at a single fucking fact check. He just, like I said, he was on X before the show, and he's like, ooh, that's a good one. Oh, yeah, that's a good meme. He just came out, just bullets in the chamber, never checked to make sure the safety was on. He just went right for it, man. Absolutely stunning. Stunning. Insane.
Thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you
We'll
respond to the rest of
find
what you've heard.
out, he says.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this
I'm
election
dying.
I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans
with my
who had
computer right
formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John
Please stop. I don't know why it keeps doing that. God, it's so
Dream
amazing.
by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about
Just look at him. He is stewing so goddamn hard. He is just like, he's doing the shoulder thing. He's gripping the edges of the goddamn podium. This man, he is about to have a stroke. I saw somebody say, Donald Trump is darker than Kamala with that orange makeup. Like, you think he did that on purpose? Like, they were spraying him with the orange shit, and he was like, make it darker. I want to be blacker or oranger. It's the same thing. Oh, orange is the new black. Oh, man.
belittling
There you go, Andrew.
and name calling.
Redonk just posted it
Let's
for you, Andrew.
turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on to
not.
other-
That was one of my favorites. Oh, dude, we were dying so hard at this point. She's gonna confiscate all the guns. All of them. Dude, do you know, like, how impossible that is? Like, I keep trying to tell Trump supporters this. When you say you're gonna deport all the immigrants, that's not feasible. It's not, logistically speaking, do you know how much money it would cost us to deport every undocumented immigrant out of America? It would be insane. We don't have the enforcement for that. We don't, like, what are you gonna do to find all these undocumented? The plausibility of deporting all the undocumented immigrants in America, specifically if you're a Trump supporter. Trump supporters want to say there's like 40 million undocumented immigrants in America. Like they legitimately believe that. Can you imagine the amount of enforcement that you would need to deport 40 million people from America? The same thing goes, and I've said this before, if you are a left-wing person that is like, we need to take all the guns from these people, if you are that far left that you're like, all the guns need to be taken, which, by the way, I've actually never heard somebody say, but maybe there's somebody out there that believes that shit. If you're that person, it's not feasible. It's not probable. It's not logical. What we need to do is have common sense gun laws. We need to have red flag laws. We need to have universal background checks, which people have pointed out before, they exist in most of the states. All of these things are things that we can do to make things better. We can do what Biden did with the bipartisan gun legislation that he passed, I want to say in 2023, where we improve mental health facilities. We improve mental health facilities at the high schools, at the schools. These are the things that we can do to actually make an impact in this. Saying things like they're going to confiscate all the guns, it's not plausible. And if you are falling for that rhetoric that Democrats are going to steal your guns, are going to come and take all your guns, you're a moron. It just needs to be said. Somebody needs to reach out to you and just tell you, have like an intervention with you, sit down with you and go. They need to just ask you the question, do you think Kamala Harris is going to take all your guns? She's going to confiscate every gun in America? And if you look at them and you go, yeah, that's exactly what they plan to do. They're communists. That person needs to look at you and just hand on the leg, just go, you're a moron. I love you. I appreciate you. You're a moron. That's what you need in your life. That's what you need in your life. You guys can't see my hand underneath the TV or under the screen. That looks funny. It's hyperbolic. And the fact that people fall for this shit is just insane to me. I can't believe that people fall for this stuff. Let's get that confiscated one more time.
For young families, for the first year of your child's life, to help
Right,
you
Bucket?
in that most critical stage of your
You have the
child's
wooden
development.
acoustic
I
guns.
have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue
LaVon,
what has
don't
been
get too brown,
fleeting
bro.
in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment
Bucket.
assistance for first-time home
Bucket,
buyers.
don't make fun of my audio
That's
issues.
the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate
What up, Tiki?
everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay,
That's what her plan
None of that
is
is
until
true.
just recently.
I just need
Lindsey,
to
go ahead.
respond
President
because
Trump,
no, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said
No, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
going
just
to
need
move on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
times.
now your
Yes.
third time running for president.
Dude, one of the knocks on Kamala right now, for all my right-wing friends, my conservative viewers, my conspiracy theorists, one of the knocks on Kamala right now is that her viewpoints are too centrist, that they're erring towards the right side. She said during the DNC speech that she was willing to push through James Langford's border bill. That border bill is a Republican's wet dream when it comes to the border. It is the very, I guarantee you, if Donald Trump is elected, that's the bill they'll try and push through. But if they don't have the Senate or House majority, it won't go through. Guess why? Because you decided to toss it out the window when you had the chance, and you can't get it through now. You're going to need to have either the House or the Senate or both. Pretty much you're going to have both. Her views are not communist. They're not, like, she has some pretty progressive stuff that I like. I like the way that she has, as a prosecutor, has dealt with gun violence. I like the way that she talks about legalizing marijuana on a federal level. There are some things that she is pretty progressive about, and I like those things. But to act like Kamala Harris is some kind of hard left communist is insanity, and it just shows how much of an idiot the people that believe this shit are, how gullible they are, how easily manipulated they are. Kamala Harris is not a progressive candidate. She is a left-wing candidate that is currently trying to get right-wing votes. She's not going to ban fracking. They know not to. Right now, where the economy is, I don't agree with fracking. I don't agree with massive amounts of oil production. But I do understand that because of where the economy was coming out of COVID, it was necessary to reach the level of oil production that we did. I don't think that America should continue along in that path. That's not due to any kind of financial reasoning. It's not due to any economical reasoning. I just don't think it's good for us or for the planet for us to continue to use those fossil fuels at the levels that we do now. We're never going to stop using fossil fuels. Once again, that's going to confiscate your guns. No one's confiscating your gas car. Nobody's making it illegal for you to use a gas car. That's hyperbolic. It doesn't exist. It's nowhere in anybody's legislation. And once again, if you believe that shit, you're gullible and easily manipulated. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, exactly. The only progressive to ever, what Andrew just said, the only progressive to ever brag about getting endorsed by a bunch of Republicans, 200 Republicans, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney. I mean, Adam Kinzinger, not a bad dude. I don't know what his policy values are, though, because I don't know much about Adam Kinzinger. He just seems like a nice guy, and he's pretty funny. But I don't know what his conservative values are. But I highly doubt that there is a hard left-wing progressive candidate that would be out there being like, dude, Liz Cheney, dude, Dick Cheney. Jesus Christ. It's insane. It's insane that people think that that's a progressive candidate. Anyways. Do we have any other ones? Let's see if this might be one. What is this one? Oh, no, this is where he talks about Abdul. That was Abdul. We already did Abdul. We did Abdul already. Did we watch this one too?
On McCain, including the endorsement
go.
of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
There you go.
And
That's where she talks.
Member
Good
Liz
call,
Cheney.
Andrew.
And if you want to
Spot
really
on,
know
Andrew.
the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already,
Sorry,
just ask
Andrew.
people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a
Look at
four-star
him.
general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former
He is
national security
dying.
advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric,
You know the one place that she didn't hit him on? She should have hit him on during this portion of the speech. And she should have pointed out that RFK wrote the most scathing tweet of all time about a political candidate opponent. It was like 8 paragraphs going like policy for policy why Donald Trump is the worst possible pick for the president of the United States. And that wasn't 5 years ago. That wasn't 2 years ago. It wasn't a year ago. It was 4 months ago. It was 4 months ago. Back in May, RFK said Donald Trump is completely unfit to be the president of the United States and was one of the worst presidents of all time. She should have said that. She should have brought that part into it. The guy that's supporting you right now doesn't think that you should be the president. Oh, God, it was... But still, just giving her credit. She did amazing. Whoops.
we listen to this kind of rhetoric when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that,
Jumps in so
see, I'm a
hard.
different kind of a person. I fired most of those people.
Vance said too, Nana.
Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't.
This is such a weird point of view. and I've gone over this in one of my videos that I made that I put out. A good leader doesn't talk about who they fire. That's not, you shouldn't be proud of firing people. You should do such a good job of hiring people and retaining people that you don't ever have to talk to people about how many people you fired. You should always be on the tilt of keeping people on your team. You want, like, if you're just looking at it from like the most bare basic thing, you want them to be experienced. You want them to have the job and do the job and continue to be in the job for long periods of time, because the longer they're in that job, the better they do. Now, if you've got a bunch of people that you hired, which Donald Trump did, you hired to be in those positions, and then they continually fail at the job, you know who failed? It wasn't the employee, it was you. As the hiring manager, your job is to interview people and discern whether or not they are the person that you want the most to do the job. And by the way, this guy doesn't work at a natural food store. This guy works for the U.S. government in the highest position in the entire country. He's not on ZipRecruiter. He's not on Indeed. He's not just picking from 30 people that used to work at fucking Burgers and Cream or fucking McDonald's. No. He is picking from anybody that he could possibly want that can stand him. And he still sucked at it. And this is the dude that's a good businessman? Because he fires people? That's ridiculous. That's insane. And you should never, as a leader, brag about firing the people you hired.
In this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just
they fired
killed
you.
Viciously and
They did
violently
fire
killed.
you.
And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book.
And like I said, so you hired these people, and then they did a bad job, and then you fired these people. And that happened for 4 years. 4 years of him hiring and firing people until he had his family in the places that he wanted them to be. Have you ever worked in a business where a bunch of people that used to work there get fired and then they replace them with their family? Tell me how good of a working environment it would be to be one of the people that's not part of that family. Gonna guess it was a pretty bad working environment.
One writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books.
And that's because we avoided the recession. Every economist going into 2021, 22, 23, 24 was forecasting insanely high unemployment numbers and a recession. And instead what we got from that is a 3.4% unemployment rate, which was lower than Donald Trump's 3.5 by 0.1, okay? And we avoided a recession. By the way, when Donald Trump keeps talking about inflation, Donald Trump's inflation numbers were between 1.2 and 2.8%. The reason that he ever got to 1.2% was because in 2020, we locked down the country. The entire country locked down. Nobody was going outside. Nobody was buying gas. Guess where the $1.77 number comes from when he talks about the lowest gas prices? Just so happens to be 2020, when nobody was allowed to go anywhere. I remember driving to work during COVID and there not being a single person on the road. Every number that he uses as his best numbers just so happened to be in the year that we locked everything down. Now, on the other side of that, Joe Biden was handed a government that literally he had to fight for, that Donald Trump tried to fight to keep, tried to overturn an election, tried to commit treason, allegedly. And with that hand, he was given a pandemic that Donald Trump asked, could you inject disinfectant into the lungs to make it work? Could you perhaps get UV inside of a person to make it go away? That claimed it would all be gone by Easter. That said, one person was caught in the bay off a plane and the disease is contained. A person that out in public was telling people that it wasn't that big of a deal, while behind the scenes in audio phone calls was telling people that he knew that it was really, really bad. And he handed that all over to Joe Biden, and yet somehow, here in 2024, we have an inflation rate that's damn near the same as Donald Trump's was between 2017 and 2019. He's full of shit. He's full of shit. Okay, so that's going to be the coverage for the debate. And it was a fun debate. It was an amazing debate. I'll give Donald Trump a little bit of credit here. Donald Trump is a very fun person to watch get his ass handed to him.